Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Keeping It Real with Coach Neal. Alongside the head coach of the UNCW Seahawks, Chris Neal, I'm Eric Rue. And Coach, let's go back to last week. You have Hurricane Dorian come in. Campus is evacuated. Obviously, the ECU game is postponed. Take us through the timeline of that week as you now shift your focus heading into that Sunday contest against Wake Forest.
Well, I think that the timing of us having to leave campus actually was a slight silver lining. I know that's bizarre to say. There's a silver lining in a hurricane approaching your shores, but it had reached that point in the season where we felt like as a staff we had already talked about it, that we needed to give our kids a couple of days off just to refresh, hit the reset button mentally and physically. So the timing for us actually wasn't horrific like it was last year. So we gave our kids a couple of days. They went their separate ways. We told them to stay close to home. And we met back up in Winston-Salem on the Saturday, had a good short training session, and we were somewhat refreshed and physically ready to play on Sunday against a very good Wake Forest team.
Wake Forest on Sunday, number 25 team in the country. You battle through with them. They get a late goal in the first half and then add one in the second half. You fall 2-0 to the Demon Deacons. What did you see from your team during that contest against a nationally ranked opponent?
Wake Forest are a good team. They've got some very special players, very athletic players, and they've got a head coach in Tony DeLuz that's been around the block a few times and knows how to win a game. So it was a very good pre-CAA test for us that we wanted. And in the first half, I thought tactically we almost put together a masterpiece. We didn't get forward very much, but we also frustrated Wake Forest. Unfortunately, in the 44th minute late in the half, maybe a minute and 20 seconds to play, we ventured away from our tactical game plan, and it cost us one time. They have a special kid at the back, the number 33, the center back, who's very good on the dribble, and we allowed her in. And she created a numerical advantage in the midfield line and then ultimately in the forward line, and they scored a good goal. And that changed the dynamics of the game, because if you go into half at 0-0, then frustration builds in their locker room, and it becomes a little bit more advantage Seahawks in the second half. But I think it was a great lesson for our kids to take against a very good opponent going into CAA play. In the second half, I thought we played pretty well. It was more back and forth. We created a few more chances. But I was pleased with the takeaway from the second half for sure.
It seems like we talk about her every week, with Sidney Schneider, for the second time in 3 games, has to come up big with a penalty kick save, and she did it again on Sunday against Wake Forest. How important is her performance to leading the defensive unit?
Sidney gives everyone confidence, and the crazy thing about that penalty is that we had scouted our opponent on penalties, and the kid that actually took that penalty had taken 3 penalties all within the last year and made all 3. And she had gone the other way on all 3 of those penalties. And Sidney's just got incredible instincts in those situations. We don't tell her which way to go. We don't coach her on penalties. She does her thing, and she's amazing at it. We give her all the info and let her do what she wants with that info. But having her back there, I mean, just the boost that your team gets from somebody making a play like that is priceless.
Sidney Schneider with 5 saves, a season high against the Demon Deacons on Sunday. Let's put that game in the rearview mirror. Now you've got 2 games in a span of about 40 hours coming up this weekend, as you have the Battle by the Beach with Middle Tennessee, Charleston, and Virginia Tech coming to town. Middle Tennessee on Friday, Virginia Tech on Sunday. As you looked to that matchup against the Blue Raiders, what have you seen thus far that you guys will need to focus on?
They've scored a lot of goals, and they've got 2 to 3 attacking personalities that have to be budgeted for. And at the back, they seem very industrial, very tough. They've played a tough schedule as well and got off to a very good start. It's going to be I think they're playing a similar shape to us, so it should be a pretty good matchup in terms of organization and also athleticism and skill. So I expect it's going to be a battle, literally a battle by the beach. And then Virginia Tech, undefeated at this point. I think they're 6-0. Obviously a top-ranked team as well. So again, this is the type of team. These are the type of teams that we want to play, getting ourselves ready for CAA play.
You played VCU a week ago, Wake Forest this past Sunday. You're going to have Virginia Tech this upcoming Sunday. How do those previous games prepare your team to face another nationally ranked opponent and be able to be comfortable in that setting?
Those teams put us in an environment that we can't match in training, and in an environment that is faster, less time and space, hopefully, than what our CAA opponents will provide for us. You just want to play in an environment where the demands are great, and that's what prepares you. And little things like players' decision making, time on the ball, space management. The teams that we have played are going to stress us in all those areas, and that prepares us to play CAA play.
These are the final 2 games unless East Carolina gets rescheduled before you enter into the CAA schedule. Other than getting a result, what are you looking to see from your team this weekend?
One of the things we talked about as a staff yesterday is that we're really pleased with how many unanswered questions we've been able to answer in the past few weeks. From a team management standpoint and specifically from a personnel standpoint. We've played a lot of bodies and we know a lot about our players right now, and we've answered a lot of questions. So these final 2 matches, there's only a few questions that we don't have the answers to going into CAA play. And we want to make sure we do when we come out of this weekend. So we're still experimenting a little bit. We're still trying a few things. And that's one of our main goals in these last few games, so that when we go into CAA play, we know all the answers to our team. We know what everyone can do. We know what we look like in this shape versus that shape. We know what our plan A and our plan B is, so to speak.
A reminder, this weekend's schedule features 2 games each day. 5 o'clock on Friday, Charleston takes on Virginia Tech before the nightcap at 7:30 as UNCW takes on Middle Tennessee. Then on Sunday, an 11 a.m. start for Charleston and Middle Tennessee, followed by 1:30 as UNCW takes on Virginia Tech in the tournament finale. Coach, we wish you the absolute best of luck. We'll chat with you again next week.
Thanks.
That's head coach Chris Neal. I'm Eric Ruth. Thanks for joining us again this week on Keeping It Real with Coach Neal.